Good evening. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Whitney Ward. We're glad you're here. Thousands of state workers may be out of a job come Monday. That is when Washington's vaccine mandate officially takes effect.
Tonight, we are hearing from 2 departments who say they are losing dozens of workers due to that, leaving a crippling hole to fill. So we are starting to get an idea of what the vaccine mandate might do to our prisons.
So the mandate applies to all Department of Corrections employees. And KREM 2's Cody Proctor is joining us now from the newsroom just with an update on how they're handling these last few days before it kicks in. Cody?
Well, there's one word that came up over and over again in this morning's media briefing with the Department of Corrections. It was the word fluid. And the reason they used that word in particular was because the numbers for vaccinated employees, exemptions, and those planning to separate is still changing even at this time. So here are a few numbers that we know right now. According to DOC officials, as of last night, 91% of their employees have turned in their vaccination cards, and they're expecting more to be turned in today as well and over the next few days. About 3% of DOC employees are being accommodated or they're on some type of protective leave that makes it difficult for them to be vaccinated at this time. The DOC secretary has said that at this morning's briefing, about 500 employees may be separating, but of course, that remains to be seen.
We're deeply saddened by the people that are going to be leaving our agency because they, a lot of them have been here a long time, and we are, I wish they wouldn't be leaving, but I respect what they're doing. I really sincerely do.
Now, with the possibility of losing employees, the Department of Corrections has been busy figuring out plans to try to minimize potential impacts, including consolidating some of their units, especially since they have over 4,000 empty beds in the system. 2 locations they're keeping an especially close eye on when it comes to these potential impacts is Clallam Bay and the state penitentiary. Now, officials did say they have already had some of their units go through what they call a warm closure, which means there aren't any people living or working there, but they keep the power and the water still going so it can be used quickly if necessary. Again, the Monday is the deadline to comply with the vaccine mandate. Reporting in the newsroom, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
Cody, thank you very much. One thing we are finding out with the state vaccine mandate is that every state agency is dealing with it a bit differently. Some fire departments across the state are losing a handful of employees while others are losing none.
So the city of Spokane right now is preparing to lose 38 firefighters and claim that the number is too high to accommodate the unvaccinated. However, KREM 2's Amanda Rowley looked into solutions that other departments are using statewide.
Monday could be the last day of work for dozens of firefighters in the city of Spokane. Spokesperson Brian Coddington explained to me on Tuesday the city cannot make accommodations like those in Spokane Valley due to the high volume of exemption requests. But I found another Washington city with a similar volume of requests, and it's not losing a single firefighter.
It turns out the city of Tacoma's fire department has a similar workforce to Spokane. Out of its 328 fire personnel who fall under the state's mandate, it has 58 who are approved for exemption. Spokane has 300 fire personnel with 38 who are exempt. Come Monday, Tacoma Fire Department will remain intact, and it can accommodate its firefighters beyond the options Spokane is offering. Exempt fire personnel will remain in their assigned positions. They'll receive daily health screenings, must practice social distancing, use PPE on all calls, and must wear a mask at all times. If the city of Tacoma does in fact have similar volume of requests as Spokane and can still accommodate its firefighters, why can't the city of Spokane do the same?
As we've looked at cost, as we've looked at availability and volume of testing, and all those different factors combined with the data that showed 25,000 hours lost already to the pandemic, just on quarantine alone, and another 2,300 hours or so lost to actual on-the-job contraction of COVID. All those things taken in totality made it that it was not the right decision to be able to accommodate on the job.
Does the city of Spokane have the resources to do as Tacoma or Spokane Valley has done to accommodate firefighters as far as funding?
We'd have to find $300,000 to $1 million annually to fund the PPE. Those were the projections. So those are things and choices you have to make. We have a very tight budget year.
It takes about 3.5 months for firefighters to complete training and begin working at a Spokane City fire station. The upcoming recruit school is not expected to start until January at the earliest. Coddington says while this could translate into some overtime, the city is not concerned.
Come Tuesday, Wednesday next week, 911 calls will still be answered. The Spokane Fire Department will be there. They will answer the call for help and they will provide the service that's needed.
For most of Spokane's 38 exempt firefighters, their last shift will be Sunday into Monday morning. Now, according to Governor Inslee's proclamation, if you are still working or practicing health care at 12:01 a.m. on Tuesday, you are violating that mandate. Reporting in downtown Spokane, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
It is not just, of course, the Department of Corrections employees or firefighters impacted by this mandate. A handful of employees from other sectors are also affected.
So let's go through those right now. Anyone working in hospitals, nursing homes, and assisted living, as well as childcare providers, K through 12, and higher education employees. This also covers, as we said, firefighters, but EMTs and paramedics, along with all state workers in state agencies.
Meantime, help is on the way to Spokane hospitals. The Department of Defense will arrive at Providence this weekend to help them with the growing number of COVID patients. Providence requested federal assistance through the Department of Health. The team of healthcare providers with the DoD will include physicians, respiratory therapists, and nurses. Providence says they will have more information next week once that team is actively working in the hospital.
And the request comes as more resources could be used in the fight against coronavirus. An FDA panel has now endorsed a booster from Johnson & Johnson's single-dose COVID vaccine today. J&J told the FDA an extra dose could be taken as early as 2 months after the first vaccine. The CDC is set to meet next week to provide more guidance on both J&J and Moderna's booster shots.
We know this is all a lot of information, and with the vaccine deadline approaching and things consistently changing, we want to make sure you have the latest information. So if you want more on the vaccine mandate and these vaccines, just text the word vaccine to 509-448-2000. We'll send that information directly to your phone.
All right, taking a quick break from those coronavirus headlines here for a moment. Another cloudy day outside, but hey, it's Friday.
Yeah, and no snow, right? Meteorologist Michelle Boss joining us in the Outdoor Weather Center tonight. Michelle, I gotta say, this weekend forecast is looking pretty good.
Yeah, we are turning things around pretty drastically from what we saw just a couple of days ago with the snow and chilly temperatures. Still below average temperatures today, but we have started to see a warming trend. 55 degrees out there right now at the Spokane Airport. Has fallen into the 40s up north in Deer Park and Sandpoint. Still in the lower 60s in Moses Lake, 67. That probably feels really nice in Lewiston. We've had a little bit of a breeze today. Still seeing a little bit of that out at Ritzville, but for the most part, any windy conditions should be dying down this evening and overnight. Satellite and radar showing just a few very light showers, mainly to the north of Spokane, but we have had a couple of sprinkles here. Saw in downtown about an hour or two ago, and I've seen just a couple of light sprinkles out here. That should be the worst of it as far as any rain for high school football tonight. Looking at generally a clearing trend overnight as low temperatures drop down to the upper 30s and lower 40s, but the weekend could not get any better, especially for this time of year. Plenty of sunshine on Saturday, 67 degrees. Sunday, partly sunny and 66. This is Jeremy Legou's wording. Kind of warm for the weekend. Love it.
Yeah, I might need to use sunscreen. I might get a sunburn this weekend.
Kind of warm.
My pasty complexion, Michelle. Thank you very much. Well, it's hard to believe, but it was 30 years ago tomorrow the Spokane area experienced its greatest loss due to fire since the Great Spokane Fire of 1889. The event was called Firestorm 91, and the events of that day and the days that followed have impacted Spokane forever.